Thank you. So it's great to be here. I'm Matthew Hoskin, Nirtek's CEO and Managing Director. So let's start by defining the problem that we set out to solve. So the World Health Organization says that heart attack is the #1 killer throughout the world. Atherosclerosis, which is the cause of heart attack, is responsible for over 18 million, or almost a third, of all deaths worldwide. This image shows atherosclerosis within a coronary artery with a plaque made of fatty deposits that's built up in the wall of the artery. If that plaque is unstable, it can rupture, causing a clot to form, resulting in the blockage of the coronary artery. Rupture of these unstable plaques, which are often described as ticking time bombs, is the single biggest cause of heart attack and of death globally. So why can't we detect them before they rupture? The standard diagnostic tool for detecting the presence of these plaques is a coronary angiogram, where dye is injected into the arteries with a catheter and X-ray images are taken of the dye passing through the arteries. But even though this can show the presence of plaques, as indicated by the narrowing in front of the arrow, there's currently no way of knowing which of these plaques are stable and which ones are vulnerable to rupture and require more aggressive or immediate treatment of the plaque by the deployment of a coronary stent or a targeted drug therapy. So detecting plaques that are vulnerable to rupture is the clinical need that we set out to fill. And the Nirtek solution to that need is called a NIRAF guide wire. It's inserted into the coronary artery during an angiogram to examine a coronary plaque to see whether it's stable or unstable. It's a fast procedure to perform, results are known immediately, and for a plaque that the cardiologist chooses to stent, they can guide the stent into place straight over our guide wire to deploy it. We'll take a look at how that works in a minute. So the ring of light that you can see coming from near the tip of the wire in the picture there is laser light directed down the inside of the wire from the controller unit and directed into the artery where it illuminates the plaque. The light is near infrared and the device detects returning autofluorescent signals which are only generated from unstable plaques, hence the term NIRAF, which stands for near infrared autofluorescence. So let's look at the procedure in animation. So the wire is used during a standard coronary angiogram procedure. It gets steered up the aorta and guided to where the coronary arteries come off the aorta. It's directed down the coronary artery into position where there's been a plaque that's been seen on angiogram. It hits the plaque with near-infrared light. This plaque we see is unstable, so it gives off autofluorescent signal, which is detected by the device. And then if the cardiologist chooses to stent the plaque, they position the stent by guiding it over our wire, expand it into place with a balloon, and then the balloon can be removed. And for plaques such as this next one that we'll see, it's unstable and vulnerable to rupture and heart attack, but it's causing a less than 70% narrowing. So this plaque would currently be left unstented without our NIRAF wire. In fact, 12% of major adverse cardiac events are caused by plaques of less than 70% that were previously seen on angiogram but left untreated. And then finally, we're just showing here that you can also go and investigate a secondary plaque during the same procedure with the same wire. So the science is well understood. Now let's talk about the Nirtek business and start with the value proposition. So it's pretty clear what the benefit for the patients are. Detection of an unstable plaque so it can be treated before it ruptures can prevent heart attack and death. For a hospital, successful diagnosis and treatment of an unstable plaque during the first admission or angiogram means fewer repeat admissions and better outcome statistics. For the payers, fewer admissions and fewer heart attacks is a massive cost saving for them. And then finally, for the physician, the device is fast, easy to use, and fits in with the existing workflow in the cath lab. So it's no surprise to hear that our market opportunity is very large. There's around 13 million cardiac catheterizations done globally and growing to diagnose, assess, or treat coronary heart disease. So even using an overly conservative average selling price across the world of around $600 for our disposable guide wire, the total available market would be $7.5 billion. If you then estimate how many of these angiograms might identify a plaque that the cardiologist may actually want to investigate with our guide wire, the serviceable addressable market is about 80% of that, or $6 billion. And now if we estimate a conservative percentage of that market that we could penetrate, say 20%, and allow for some margin to be given up to a commercialisation partner so that market capture can be maximised quickly, then our serviceable obtainable market is still north of $700 million in revenues for Nirtek. Now, who do we have to compete with to get that sort of market penetration? There are standard guide wires that are used today for deploying stents. They're an indirect competitor because they can't diagnose, but in many instances, our NIRAF wire would be used in their place, so I've mentioned them. There are FFR wires, These sell for over $1,300 each, which can measure the drop in pressure across a plaque. There's something called spectroscopy, which can provide basic information about the amount of lipid buildup in a plaque. There's something called IVUS, which gives information about plaque morphology and dimensions and can check for proper deployment post-stent placement. And that's also true for the final indirect competitor that I'll mention, which is OCT, which gives similar information to IVUS. So they're all highly priced techniques, difficult to use and interpret, they're time-consuming, and none of them can do what our solution can do, which is to identify the key feature of unstable plaque, intraplaque hemorrhage, that makes them vulnerable to rupture, and then help to deploy the treatment. Our regulatory strategy is to register a Class 3 medical device in the EU and Australia, and a Class 2 device in the US via a 510K. We have very good IP coverage already, with one patent family covering the core NIRAF technology as a diagnostic application that's already granted in the US, Japan, and EU. And we have a second patent family covering key aspects of the device design, which has been granted in Australia and is in national phase in other key markets. A path to market is to source certain components off the shelf, manufacture some of the core technology directly, then assemble and provide the entire system as an OEM product to an existing player in the interventional cardiology market. We believe any of the large diagnostic cardiology companies with a global presence could be potential partners, but companies that sell both coronary guide wires and coronary stents would be our priority commercialisation partners, because these companies could generate hundreds of millions of dollars from the sale of our device as a diagnostic tool, but then when our device finds an unstable plaque, it generates follow-on sales from the use of a stent or even a targeted drug therapy. So creating a business with a sustainable, profitable growth is the strategy, but if that then makes the business attractive as a target for trade sale to one of those large diagnostics, then we'd obviously be looking at that as an exit. To date, preclinical testing on mouse and human samples has demonstrated the proof of concept. The science has been published in Nature Comms. Patents have been granted, and we have a prototype device that's in the testing and design review stage. The next step is further R&D to refine and test our system prototype, and then begin first-in-human safety and performance trials. The executive team has a strong mix of clinical, business, and technical and financial expertise, and our board is well balanced and skilled for the present needs of the business, with our intention to expand that as we progress. We have an extensive network of partners and collaborators to de-risk our path to market and to do it cost effectively. In addition to the over $1 million that we've received in investment funding, we've so far secured over $2 million in non-dilutive grant funding from some of these partners and programs listed. For us to progress, we're currently seeking to raise $2.5 million through the issue of ordinary shares at a pre-money valuation of $7.5 million. Funding from the raise is planned to take us through to completion of our first-in-human safety and performance trials, which we feel will be a meaningful value inflection for the company. So we're a company developing a product that solves a massive unmet clinical need. The technology has been significantly de-risked. We have a strong network of suppliers and partners, an experienced and capable team, and a huge global market to address. Contact details on the screen if you'd like to get involved. Thank you very much for your attention.